Namaskar. As I stand in front of Jefferson Memorial, he's probably rolling in his grave at the candidacy of Zoran Mamdani. Everything about this doesn't sound right. And Sridhar Ji has done a deep dive into the antecedents of this guy, his parents, and what have you, and also a tip of the iceberg on where this thing leads to. America, you have a choice to make. You don't like the opposition, at least close your nose and vote for the opposition, because Mamdani, in my opinion, is bad news. Let's see what Sridhar Ji, who lives in New York, who is a Manhattaner himself, what has he to say about it? Over to Sridhar Ji. Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel, sir. How are you?
Namaskar. I'm very happy to be here. Very happy to be talking about a fellow New Yorker and a fellow Manhattan resident who is very soon likely to be, when he's a resident of Queens, one of the 5 boroughs, very likely to be elected as the mayoral candidate or the mayor of New York City. What a change that it is going to be. So I think it's very interesting that we just look behind where this gentleman is coming from. And we try to answer the question, is this a kind of one-off, or is this something that there is a systematic strategy that is evolving? We'll try to answer that question. And then by the time we kind of finish the show, you can probably get what we call the glimpses of the depth of organizations that have now spun a spider web around United States, and very slowly but certainly seizing control of the Democratic Party. Okay, the Democratic Socialists are taking control. Forget Ilhan Omar, forget Rashida Tlaib. What is confronting is much bigger than what you have seen thus far. Okay, so we try to answer these questions and we try to present to you. And Sree Iyer obviously will interject with many interesting Q&As to take this discussion forward. We introduce also a new name, Linda Sarsour. Who is Linda Sarsour and what is her
role? Sarsour.
Sorry, Linda Sarsour, and what's her role behind Mamdani? Okay.
Yes, indeed. And viewers, my good friend Asma Noorani had highlighted Linda Sarsour as the person behind the DEI movement, the one who chose you are with us, you are against us, who to delete, all these things over the last decade or so. She's a Palestinian American, very colorful personality herself. You should look and follow Asma Noorani. I'll hope to get her, Asma, also on our channel. She gets a lot of threats, viewers. She's a Pakistani. No, she's an Indian Muslim American, but she's a very, very good journalist. She has worked for, I think, Wall Street Journal, if I remember correctly. She was a colleague of Daniel Pearl, who got killed in Karachi. She was in Karachi at that point of time. Anyway, that's a story for a different day. Let's get back to Usha Nair, the mother of Zoran Kwame Mamdani.
Meera Nair.
Born in Bhubaneswar. I'm sorry. So sorry about it. Meera Nair. What am I talking about, Usha? Meera Nair, the mother of Zoran Kwame Mamdani. She was born in Bhubaneswar to an Indian civil servant, and she grew up in Ludhiana, I believe. So this is just to give you a context. In my opinion, she's a pretty good director. I rate her movie Kama Sutra one of the best movies ever made. But that's just again me. Who knew that this whole thing where somebody is being put up? Sir, one thing I say again and again: you want to see a Soros candidate. That candidate will be young, he'll be charismatic, and he'll be vacuous. You can understand what vacuous means. I can see this thing again and again and again and again across Europe and also in the United States. I yield the floor to you, sir. These are my initial observations. You have a big story to tell. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. I think just to close that point, we did a DGA program probably a few months ago where we covered, especially when the Palestinian movement was at its peak post October 7th. And we covered some remnants of various organizations. We will we'll cover some of these other organizations which are also part of this. But clearly, one of the biggest kind of gorillas in the room is Soros. And he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it current. He has a systematic planning which dates back few years, by the time these people evolve, he will take a position which is to say, hey, I haven't contributed to his mayoral election, so I haven't got anything to do with it. We don't make any political contributions, so therefore, why am I kind of... so we make contributions to all organizations that is fighting social injustice. And that's how it's that the seeds are laid and the funding is done, and then they grow. And they grow to become some of the names that, including Mamdani, including Linda Sarsour, etc. Okay, next slide.
Sir, go ahead, sir.
Yes, so we'll cover briefly who is, I think Sree Iyer has already touched, who is Zoran Mamdani, and is it accidental or a systematic strategy? We'll respond by saying this is not accidental, that there's a method behind the madness, and there is a systematic approach in terms of the start of the transformative revolution of democratic socialists in America, well-funded, well-organized, and they have got groups all over. And then CAIR, Council for American Islamic Relations. CAIR itself is a big funder, but it also uses other non-profit organizations, all within the tax apparatus, 501c3, and the funds flow. The fund numbers are quite staggering. It could be anything above $50 million. That's a lot of money in terms of what's happened in the last few years. Where is Soros and OSF? They're very much behind it, and they have made comments. How wide is the influence across the US? It is quite wide. It doesn't stop in New York. It is in Minnesota. It is in Texas. Following the footsteps of Mamdani, we are going to have a gubernatorial candidate for Virginia, funded by the same groups. It is very much in, I mentioned Texas, it's in California, and it's in Minnesota. There is a candidate they are putting up against Ilhan Omar, okay, in Minnesota. So this is spreading far and wide, but well organized, well funded, well orchestrated. Where do we head from here? Well, we will know on November 4th what happens. By all indications, Mamdani will become the governor of New York City, and there's a statement made by an Iraqi American who is contesting against Ilhan Omar, and we will present the statement to you at the end of the show. Next. Okay. Who is he? Is born in Kampala to Mahmoud Mamdani and Meera Nair, which Sree Iyer pointed out. Both parents are of, no surprise, Indian descent. One is a Gujarati Muslim and the mother is a Punjabi Hindu. Dual citizen of United States and Uganda, married to Ramaduaji. New York City mayoral candidate leading the polls, and he is likely to be, by all indications, is likely to be elected the mayor. He already is a member of our New York State Assembly from the 36th district, which is Queens, adjacent to Astoria, where he lives. He's also a member of the Democratic Party and the Democratic Socialist Party. It's not Socialists of America, not Democratic Socialist Republics. It is Democratic Socialist America, DSA. With obviously some of his views are quite radical, in terms of what he wants to do to President Trump or Prime Minister Modi or some of the other people, etc. So, but very left-wing policies. If you are interested in the policies of Zoran Mamdani as far as New York City is concerned, we'll cover that in another show. Next slide.
Sir, before we go there, sir, I just have a couple of observations. Why did not New York State Republicans throw up a better candidate, sir? I mean, the fact is now it is Democrat versus Democrat. And the Democrat that they have pitted against Mamdani himself was a governor at one point of time, Cuomo, and now he is running for mayor of New York. I fail to understand why there is such a dearth of leadership in the Republicans in New York City, sir. After all, this is where Donald Trump was born. He grew up there. His family lives there. Trump Tower is still in New York. I'm just trying to wrap my heads around this, Sridhar Ji. Why is there a lack of leadership, effective leadership in the Republican Party?
Well, I think that
and you have to go and leave for Singapore. You don't live in Manhattan anymore. One candidate gone just like that.
No, no, I very much live in New York, Manhattan, very much New Yorker. So I think the story is that this is the story. The story is that we have had challenges with Republican leadership. We have also had challenges with the Democratic leadership. Do not forget that Democratic Party is also being taken over, not from the middle ground, but the Socialists and moving extreme left. Who are the two people who are campaigning for him for the mayoral candidate? Bernie Sanders. And who is Bernie Sanders? Everybody knows. Who is the other person? Ilhan Omar. So these are the two people who are actively campaigning in conjunction with Linda Sarsour, who is a great organizer. And there's a huge, and there is a whole conclave of imams, in Harlem, in Brooklyn, and Bronx, and Queens, raising vociferous voices in support of Mamdani. But it's not there. It goes into other mosques around United States. So there is a coordinated effort. I don't think Democratic Party can match that. Democratic Party is has got paucity of leadership. It doesn't matter who comes in as long as they're back to power. That's what is going on. Republicans don't have candidates, sir. Republicans do not have candidates in some of the blue states. So they've been left in the lurch. So we won't go into that. But that's again another topic. So he is emerging as the face of the socialist social democrats. His rise in politics involved Soros-aligned funding and ties to the imams that I mentioned to you. They propped him up. Let's go back to 2017. There's a young Mamdani who volunteered for 𝗪𝗡𝗙𝗥𝗏, who is the Brooklyn imam, and who wanted to contest. He's a Palestinian, by the way, and who contested for the council, not for mayor, council, which he lost. That was the political, Mamdani is a political project. He emerged in the 2017. Who led that campaign? Linda Sarsour led the campaign. You can go back and look at some of the pictures that surfaced. There he was. And then he didn't stop there. There was a lot of allegations that he has extremist links that's beginning to surface, but nothing matters at the moment because this is a runaway train. The Fox, which has investigated, points to a very coordinated strategy. They also reaffirm, based on some of our own research, that it is a coordinated strategy, and that is where this is heading. He is also backed by progressives and socialist-aligned groups, unions, non-profits, etc. So therefore, he's been propped up. If he wins, is one of the most important kind of venues, which is New York City, then what is to come is very interesting across the rest of the America. Next slide.
Sir, one question here. I just want to, before we go to Linda Sarsour, very colorful personality herself, I must quote Margaret Thatcher, how she defines socialism. She said, socialism works as long as you have other people's money to burn. Once that goes away, there is no socialism. It is just civil war. What it is today, a lot of New Yorkers, retired people, they're still in Manhattan because they like the city. And here comes this upstart. And see, I remember, sir, when you and I were talking in 2021, early days of Biden presidency, when truckloads or even train loads of illegals were descending on Manhattan and occupying all the five-star hotels. we were talking about all these things. Sir, yeah. What is happening to Manhattan? Have they cleaned up the place now, or is it still just as bad as before? We can go to Linda in just a minute, sir. I just want this question. Yeah.
The answer, the cleanup is in process, but they are extremely well embedded. Legal. I'm not talking about illegal. Forget the illegals. They're very well embedded in 5 boroughs. You go to Queens, dominated by them. Now from Queens, they are stretching into Nassau and Suffolk counties. Okay, they started to make inroads into the Nassau County, okay, which is adjacent to the Queensborough. So therefore, These people have come in, they have secured their immigration. All you need to do is land in Terminal 4. As soon as you get out, you can see. If you want a wheelchair assistance in Terminal 4, there's plenty of people. You don't need to worry about English or Latino or any European language. You can speak very fluently in Urdu. A lot of people would be amenable and be able to respond to you. So there's been a systematic demographic shift and change, and that is well orchestrated and well intended. There's a flight that goes from LaGuardia to Detroit, okay, Michigan, Detroit airport. It doesn't matter which of those two airports. You will see in that flight, there's a very good set of people who can speak English, but traveling very well. Now, people can argue, well, Italians have had similar thing, and, Greeks have had a similar thing. A lot of Latinos yeah, that's true. Many of them don't speak languages. They somehow, from illegal to harmonized, they become citizens. That's the same in New York. So, in indirect way, I'm telling you that New York received a fair number of Venezuelan and Haitian and those type of, and then you go to Texas and you go further west of Texas to your state. That's where many of these, Texas and west of Texas is where many of these, sympathizers or people of Islamic origin or Arabs or Muslims moved in, along with, of course, a large number of Mexicans. So there has been a well diversified approach. So you have to ask the question is, did they start during Obama, only accelerate? That is all further part of the next wave of investigation or next wave of research, which is being done. But very well orchestrated, very well organized, very well funded, very cohesive. The reason why this Linda Sarsour has been successful is for two reasons. First, she's well funded, number one. Number two, most important, they're extremely well organized. They listen and they play, they march to the tune. That has been the success, and that is behind her political movement formation. And then she became an executive director of Arab American Association of New York. And she's also a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. She also started another group called Muslims of Manhattan, or Manhattan Club, or Muslims of Manhattan. And she was initially their president. By the way, she announced during that time Mamdani to be a director. Mamdani joined and he became a director. This all goes back to 2017 when Linda Sarsour led that March for Yatim. And one of the members of that was Mamdani. Mamdani was then introduced to Linda Sarsour, and then rest is history. By the way, Yatim is a Palestinian, Linda Sarsour is a Palestinian, and Mamdani is a Shia. So you can see the connections. They have two principal goals. One is basically punish Israel, and second, punish America, which continues to support Israel and the war of Israel, the war against Palestinians. So this has been their thing. So it started in 2017, and her movement started she's now discontinued her marches, but she very much campaigns with the Democratic Socialists of America and other memberships. And she is behind the campaigns that is driving Mamdani. She was the surrogate, no surprise here, for Bernie Sanders during his presidential campaign. So she is going to be a big figure when Mamdani takes on his role as New York City mayor.
Thank you, sir. Next, viewers, much of the research that is being presented here has appeared in Fox News by the way of an article, and I think there will be more programs coming up. This is not something that Sridhar Ji and I dug up. We are just merely quoting something else because we know that there's going to be blowback from this program. But so what? Somebody in New York has done the research. Go yell at them. All your dirty linen is going to be washed now. In fact, there's more stuff coming your way, viewers. Small request to all of you to like this video right away, and I'd like to see more people watching this. Sir, over to you.
Right. So we have already discussed the Mamdani Sarsour alliance, and then it is Soros backed. He has been funded. Open Society Foundation, clarified its funding stance. Then who are 𝗟𝗡𝗏 and 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗏? We will talk about them. There are two other groups which are channeling the funds. Have worked with advocacy and community groups, including CAIR. We know who CAIR is, and
Council for American Islamic Relations or something?
Exactly, that's what it is. You go and study. Very, very, very impressive, educated, highly educated, socialist legal candidates. They're very high profile people who know exactly what they're doing. They'll not cross the line. Many of them, with legal qualifications. So this has been, we are talking about 2011. We are talking about 2017. We'll soon talk about 2002. So now this is 24 years later. So this, and then we'll talk about the World Trade Center bombing. So you can now look at this is not something that happens yesterday. This is something that's been going on for some time.
Next one, please.
Okay, who are the people who are funding and the support networks that are involved in Zohran Mamdani? The Islamic Circle of North America, where you have a lot of clerics and imams, being part of the group. Then it's called Muslim Action Coalition. Then there are Yemeni groups, Bangladeshi American advocacy groups. There's quite a few sprinkle of population of Bangladeshis in state of Minnesota, and of course in our neighborhood, which is in Queens and Manhattan, and they're also very well dispersed around. So all these groups support Mamdani and funding, and they have not one single leader, many leaders within these various groups who have a very orchestrated approach in terms of what their ultimate agenda is. What is the outcome? A calibrated effort to build a political career that is aligned with democratic socialist ideals. Okay, and who are all in the democratic socialist ideals? You have the fundamental, you have the Islamic groups, you have the unions, you have a left wing, you have communists, and you have other uninterested people who don't like to see the progress of United States. So there's a lot of them under this banner called Democratic Socialist Ideals. Those who have a formal approach, they join the DSA, and the DSA has a membership, I believe, is about 80,000.
80,000, sir?
80,000.
Okay. Over.
Okay, candidating for support, we continue. So machines transports model across various races from New York to Virginia to Minnesota to Texas and California. So it's not just with one state. This is now spreading. All you need to do is go to Texas and California. You'll begin to understand. Minnesota is different. It hasn't still gone mainstream, but probably way in other two states, which are, one is obviously Washington State, and the other one is Oregon. Okay, so funding networks are aligned with. I'll touch on what 𝗟𝗡𝗏 and 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗏. They support Democratic Party and DSA linked campaigns. 𝗟𝗡𝗏 is founded by Linda Sarsour. 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗏 is founded by a whole bunch of people. Their campaigns are called Defend and Advance. What is Defend and Advance? Two. One is namely that Islamophobia should not exist. That is number one. And number two, which is far more, is to see whether Sharia law can be introduced. So this is something very interesting in terms of what is coming out. Though we have read this term Defend and Advance, but it is coming to light with the rise of this great man called Mamdani. Okay, there's a guy who is positioned as Democratic Lieutenant Governor candidate as a candidate, and who is that? That is Ghazala Hashmi. He is being positioned as the Democratic candidate, again well funded, and then we already have in power Michigan Mayor Abdullah Hamoud. Abdullah Hamoud is the other candidate who has been funded, who is there. There's already a tug of war between him and the Christian party, and not Christian party. When I say Christian party, the people from churches. He has threatened some of the parishes not to come to Michigan, and he has also similarly threatened some of the Israelis. They said, okay, you have no business to threaten. We'll take care. But what the objective here is to point out that many of these people are out there and slowly trying to gain power. If Mamdani wins, he will be the showcase for democratic socialists and the Muslim sympathizers, most notably the Palestinian supporters who have been craving for something. Next
So
slide.
one observation, sir, before we get to the next point. Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat. He's an independent who caucuses with Democrats. So at some point, I see this movement, splitting itself away from the Democrats and trying to become an entity on its own, because Bernie has never really, aligned, or he has never, reconciled himself to the way Hillary Clinton defeated him. Remember that? Super delegates and all that bullshit she put out? I completely agree that was an unfair way to do it. But my question is, why is Bernie Sanders, a Jewish American himself, out to divide America? There's the other Jewish namuna, which is George Soros. Sir, I'm trying to understand. This is just like some of the leading lights who hate Hindus in India are people from Indian origin. I just don't understand. Fuckers, you guys are all brainy guys. Is this how you want to use your brains? Anyway, back to you, sir.
Thank you. Then there's no answers to such questions. I mean, as far as Bernie Sanders is concerned, I don't know whether he calls himself independent. He's always been a Democrat, and he's a Democrat. Biden kicked him out as well when he was kind of leading his way in 2020.
Yes.
Right. So, okay, who is another group which is coming? Sterling Charitable Fund. What are they? They are part of a network that supports Hamas, Hezbollah, and other militant groups. This group was raided in 2002 by the FBI and no cases filed. Why is 2002? It's post 9/11. Okay, so they have there is a huge philanthropic power play. Many of these organizations, there's a number that's mentioned about Sterling Charitable Fund as to how much they have given to Mamdani. But I don't want to mention the number without further kind of validation. Remember, guys, all these numbers are available, okay, because they pay, it is trackable, and they sometimes claim 501c3, which means it is, you can go who are the donors, about amount, you can get access to that information. But Open Society, everybody knows, we have covered. Ford Foundation, everybody knows. MacArthur, everybody knows. And Tides Foundation is a new one. And they orchestrate these partisan campaigns. The DSA is the big beneficiary, so they use this 501c3 organizations to funnel the money targeted into some of these groups like DSA. The DSA then becomes the delivery vehicle. Who organized these large campaigns in front of the Israeli embassy? Who organized the campaigns in Columbia University? Who has organized the campaigns and march in near NYU, etc. You will begin to find, and who is the activist marcher? Also, you now know the name and how this gets perpetuated. So, under this holistic, integrated kind of a strategy, where you have organization, where you have funding groups, where you have people joining and supporting, where you have broad support of the imams of the important masjids be it in Harlem, or be it in Brooklyn, or be it in Prague. You now begin to construct a story, and Mamdani fits well under this bill, because the number that I'm told is that it's an astronomical number. I don't want to put that number. Our research is incomplete, but we will share that number, the number that he has in terms of the access to the money that he has for running his campaign. Next slide. Okay, who is Young Power Change? A look at the 501c organization. Who are they? We are building mass movement of diverse US Muslims and allies ready to fight for a future free from Islamophobia and white supremacy. So 501c is for, is supposed to be tax exempted funding, legal, for established as non-profits, charities, oppressed communities, underprivileged communities, discriminated communities, all to kind of bring them, up the value chain. So Linda Sarsour, who is the founder of this Empower Change, which we haven't discussed before, Sriji, and she funds through this particular structure that she has created. And this is the message, this is the mission of Empower.
Sridhar ji, in the first term of Trump, there were a lot of investigations carried out about fake 501c3 organizations which were using it for wrong purposes, and also a lot of EB5 visa category which was being gamed. Sir, somewhere the first term he kind of roadblocked a lot. He had a lot of good ideas. He was going after what I would call as egregious misconduct by many entities to try and get entry into United States to take control. I don't know what happened in that first term, sir. So poor guy got boxed out, Trump.
I think that not only he got boxed out. I mean, you are raising so many topics. There is infight going on in the Department of Homeland Security. Okay, between two groups. Who should deport? One group says we should deport. The other group says we shouldn't deport. There is infight. This is under the current administration. So each of these is our separate kind of a discussion topic. So therefore, none of these groups have any semblance of. And what happened to 9/11 investigation? What happened to January 1st investigations? Right. So January 1st or January 4th, what happened? Nothing comes out. Okay, and everything kind of gets some activist groups, some groups come in the way and they compromise, and that's the story. Trump in first term was focused on only, I think, two things. He was focused on this economy, and second, he was focused, because of his friend Shinzo Abe, he was focused on security and trying to contain the stuff in Afghanistan and broadly Middle East. And I think his 4-year term ended. He forgot that he was the president of United States. He has to address many of those things that you are alluding to as domestic politics. He neglected domestic politics, and therefore he paid a very heavy price. And now he has come back. And now what he has done, he's been very smart, Sriji. We're talking about all these various groups. Who are these groups supported by? The Qataris, Middle East, then other well-interested groups, Iraqis, and so on. So now his attention is completely distracted. He's going to let go. What has he said about Mamdani? Nothing. He's going to be elected as the mayor, and right under the nose of several Trump Tower buildings in Manhattan. Okay. Now with Engage, he works closely with Empower, which is the other organization. There is an unprecedented financial and ecosystem. They then support all those Soros-funded organizations. There are new groups. There's Muslim groups, the South Asia Civic Group, the Arabs since 2021, and they have raked in significant amount of funds through these specific channels. It's not like a web. You catch one, you go to the other. You catch this one, you go to the other. So therefore, you have significant number of these institutions that have come up, all well orchestrated 501c organizations, all well developed by the lawyers, and money flow and disbursement of funds is under the concept of the vision of Engage. What is the Engage vision? To eliminate Islamophobia, suppression of Muslim rights, victimization as a result, all these kinds of constructs that you are extremely familiar with, Sriji.
Sir, honestly, personally, I look at a human being first. I don't look at what their ethnicity is, what their religion is, what their cultural beliefs are, and so on. Those are all personal issues. When we engage with people, you have a certain transaction in mind and you see if you can work together and move on. This is how I have seen average America, that is Main Street America, deal with immigrants. America has had, it's a land of immigrants and there's an equal opportunity for everyone. So where is this perception coming that they are Islamophobic? The reaction after 9/11 was because of that specific incident. I mean, how can you say that they will do whatever they want and there will be no repercussions for that?
This is a long-standing, simmering, underlying issue. Much of it, United States has to take blame, right? For example, United States always supported Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Okay? A puppet draconian organization. It supported Shah of Iran. Okay. So there's contentious issues around that. Then it has supported very many monarch organizations like Jordan and Egypt, and which has got its own problems. And stuck in the middle of that is Palestine and Israel. Okay. And when you look at what happened in long term, what happened in Lebanon, the belief is that Lebanon again was an American puppet organization until it got out, and now it is all under Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran control. So many of these things, they believe that the United States, by supporting it, subverted and neglected the people. And the sore issue has been this Palestinian issue. But Palestine itself, under Yasser Arafat, chose to take up the militant form, and it remained a militant form. Now we know that Hamas and Hezbollah were an integral part of those groups, and their whole goal was not to just get land and their own territory. And their goal was not to find a peace accord with Israel. They never wanted a peace accord. People have been given Nobel Prizes and so on, but I don't think anybody there was no peace. They said never wanted any peace with Israel.
Next one, please. Sorry, viewers, we are going here and there a little bit, but this has to be looked at in a bigger picture. You can't just take one Mamdani candidacy to kind of say that, okay, this is what is happening, because there are a lot of undercurrents that are taking place. Over to you, sir.
So our research points to broader collaboration, not just the Fox Research and other groups. Imam Muhammad Al-Bar of the Islamic Society of Beirut, who believes in nothing but Sharia law and propagates that through his mosque. He is one of the big supporters, and he was photographed with Mamdani. Imam Siraj Wahaj, who is the longtime Imam of Brooklyn, which I talked about, and he's another big supporter of Mamdani, and he served as a witness in the trial of Omar Abdul Rahman. You remember the blind sheikh who was instrumental in the World Trade Center bombing? So then Wahaj summons praise.
We're talking about 1993, right? 1993 bombing.
Correct. The Salman brothers.
Yes.
Okay, so summons praise jihad and call for an Islamic America governed by Sharia law. That is Wahaj. So there are other imams, we can list the names, but under the control of structure of Mamdani and Sarsour, and they are very well funded through this empower and engage. One raises capital, one distributes the capital, that also raises the capital or collects it from. And those 5 organizations we mentioned, besides several individuals, use those organizations for their 501c claims. Okay. And so this is what we're trying to establish here is that, give you a narrative which is based on very authentic report by, as Sree pointed out, by Fox Digital. There are so many other things. I don't think in one show we can cover. There's so many other revelations on 9/11 and other factors which ties to various groups. We'll try to bring together in one of the shows. But this is the kind of the developing news as we get closer. Why we are covering this? November 4th, early polls have started in New York. November 4th is by evening, the polls close, and we will know very soon after that the winner. Next.
Next one, please. And I think they have also relaxed the restrictions for who can vote, right? Even non-US citizens can vote in New York, isn't it?
Yep.
So I mean, that's it. Game, set, and match, viewers. Game, set, and match over. You don't even need to be a US citizen to vote anymore in New York. Sir, over to you.
Yeah. Who is 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗖? 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗖 is an Iraqi American, is taken on Ilhan Omar. In his words, Mamdani's ascent is the product of deliberate design, a sophisticated collaboration between socialist activism and Islamist organizing. These are his words, lubricated by millions in foundation grants and political donations and political operatives and revolving door of political operatives and non-profits who embrace Islamists, the destruction of the state of Israel, and hostilities to the police. This is in US and the West. This is what 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗖 has stated. He was interviewed and he has given a formal statement on this. And he just reaffirms and confirms this is a project that goes back in time, well designed, well calibrated, well funded, and the movement is on, and it is not going to stop. Even if Mamdani loses this election, which is highly unlikely, then his march will continue, and there are more people who are going to line up. Is United States prepared? The answer is no. United States lives in its own Lululand, and it's not. So therefore, they all think this all will go away. I don't think they understand the tenacity and the intent of the people behind all this movement to change the law of the land and the landscape of the land forever.
Sir, did you notice that slowly all these movements, whether it is DEI or woke or left liberal or socialist, they are beginning to not just point at Indian Americans and Jewish Americans, but they are also trying to point to the white Americans as if to say being white is a fault, that you are born white and therefore you are, I mean, this is the kind of messaging that America is getting. And unfortunately, 5 million people are residing between a line, if you draw from LA down to San Diego and across California. 5 million illegals, sir. 5 million illegals. You just got 500 out of LA city and you saw the hullabaloo that took place. How the heck are 5 million going to be deported? I have no clue, sir. This is a huge problem. I mean, I'm just talking about California. Similar things exist in Texas, in New Mexico, all the bordering states, Arizona.
See, I think there's a naivete, and the naivete stems from the fact that when somebody presents a set of facts, and a lot of American war machine has inflicted several amount of damage to common people and citizens, and that when you use images, fake images, normal images to rake it up, then it just breeds tremendous amount of discontent and animosity. When you look at some of these, aggrieved states, most notably part of Palestine, this Gaza Strip has been a battle between Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinians, and Israel. But Hamas kind of orchestrating. But the people, common people, are suffering. There's no education, there's no food, there's no water, there's no home, there's no medicine. So what do when they kind of say, hey, you guys are supposed to intervene, you haven't intervened? It's like our government is still shut down, sir, and the unions are now blaming the Democrats to say, you get out of the hell, and you basically, otherwise we won't support you, and stop this madness and get the shutdown down. So very similarly, these aggrieved people are saying, hey, you are in the way, and this because you are in the way, we need resolution. So what is the resolution? The resolution is go towards this extreme kind of a principle. Very unfortunate, but that is where we are heading. And if Mamdani's win will be phenomenal in terms of the transformation of America, Sriji.
Sir, Sridharji, let's take a look at, I want you to put on your economist cap. New York City itself, it has declared itself as a sanctuary city, but for the past 8 months, no money is coming for illegals. How are they coping, sir? There is no money going around. Is the Soros Foundation or like Qataris, are they underwriting all the expenses incurred by the illegals? What's really going on the ground, sir?
Empower, engage.
How much money do these people have?
Plenty. Plenty. And they are very good funding vehicles. We just explained. We can actually draw a fund flow map.
Viewers, this is where we are today. Democracy has been hijacked from within. And those of us who see it, we've been shouting from rooftops. And I'm so disappointed with the viewership today. I don't know why people are not interested in knowing where their future is. I mean, if United States falls, Europe has already fallen. I'm declaring that Europe has already fallen. It's not going to be able to rise from where it is today. And if America falls, then whatever prosperity you had, I mean, America also distributed the prosperity. Japan after World War II, Germany after World War II, South Korea after the Korean War, Taiwan, and Singapore, and many other countries. Not like US is just, goes and rapes and plunders all the countries that it sets its eyes on. Not true. They do that, but there is also, live and let live attitude. So I agree that capitalism is flawed, but of all the systems, this is the least flawed. And I am really looking forward to a day when people really start asking these questions. Don't go and just blindly vote just because somebody you think is going to espouse your cause. No. Even the Mamdanis of the world have a lot of limitations on what they can and they cannot do as a mayor. Barack Obama was the first black American president. What did he do for the blacks of America? Just ask yourself, 8 years. What did he do? Nothing.
Which is the reason why, which is the reason why a lot of them turned against the Democrats and voted for Trump. That's the reason why Trump won the election.
So, sir, one last question before we wrap up. How much of percentage of New York City are black, sir? Could they be the swing vote here?
No, I don't think I can give that number, G. It's not a significant. No, how many? Well, we don't know now because
if it is less than 10%, it can't swing the needle.
No, it can't swing the needle right now. Right now, Sriji, 𝗪𝗡𝗙 𝗫𝗍𝗫, who is the other Republican candidate. I don't know. He had a 15%, but I'm told that he's polling around 10%. So the Republican votes are split between 𝗪𝗡𝗙 and Andrew Cuomo. If the gap is 10% between Mamdani and Cuomo, then clearly this guy has created the wedge. 𝗪𝗡𝗙 has created the wedge. I mean, who is 𝗪𝗡𝗙? Anyway, that's a different point. Now, the question here is, we have a lot of illegals. We don't have a mechanism. So therefore, it's very hard to kind of quantify the number that you're looking at.
So thank you so much, Sachin, for putting these numbers up. This is very important. Here is the breakup of the population of New York. And it is 30.89% white, 20.18% black. Native American is a minuscule number. Asian is 15.6%. And multiracial, 2 or more races, is 3.41%. And Hispanic or Latino is 28.29%. Sir, there are votes. Sridharji, I look at this and I say there are votes. If Silva now says, okay, in the interest of the country, I withdraw in favor of Cuomo, it's going to be an unprecedented thing. A Republican candidate ceding and throwing his support behind an ex-governor of New York, that would be an unprecedented thing. Is that what it's going to take to make sure that Mamdani doesn't become the mayor?
At a minimum.
At a minimum. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Will the voters of New York see their way clear through this? Will all these shenanigans, such as illegals being asked to vote, would this be stopped? Can a judge step in and say, no, we cannot allow illegals, because it's against the Constitution of America?
Yeah.
Sir, I am like, is this the country that I grew? I mean, I've lived half my life. So this is the country that had rules-based society. People,
Correct.
you didn't have to write something. If somebody told you they will do something, they do it. That is the America I have known and grown in.
Yeah.
And I am now being slapped left, right, and center with people who are just taking all these things for granted. And they are preying on our innocence, sir. That is what I really, really find it sad. Rural America, move away from the cities. They are still the same as before. Unfortunately, they are being preyed upon, and they don't realize it.
Yeah.
Very, very sad. I'm sorry to go on a rant like this, because this is coming from my heart, Sridhar Ji. I don't have to go out to the hinterland to see what it is. People are very nice, and that niceness is being exploited left, right, and center by a few crooked individuals. Thank you so much, sir. And we'll be following this very. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
No. I think what we want to conclude and communicate is we have covered this in different forms and different things over the period of last 3 years in terms of the developing movement, right? When even the the campus movements that happened, and who are the people behind the funding, then Black Lives Matter, a lot of these things we have covered through our kind of research and in sessions. But I must also admit that the research done by Fox Digital also revalidated and confirmed, and it was extremely brave of them in terms of the level of details that they have communicated, which we have used in our own communication. Why we are communicating is that people can make informed decisions and judgments.
Exactly. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah. So we have some questions from our viewers, sir. So finish your thought and then we'll take the questions.
Yeah. As how they perceive. That's the second. I think the third important reason is change is coming to United States, whether they like it or not. The change is at their door. Okay. And this is a systematic movement that started somewhere after 9/11 or that preceded 9/11, and what we are witnessing is progressive change that has engulfed for the past 25 to 30 years in United States.
And the other interesting thing that I have to say, viewers, there is a lady who is the governor of the state of New York, 𝗤𝗙𝗙𝗿 𝗔𝗐. Now she wants to go up against 𝗤𝗍𝗍. What's her last name, sir? Stefanik. 𝗤𝗍𝗍 Stefanik, an up-and-coming Republican star in a small rural county in the state of New York. Imagine a governor wanting to become a congresswoman. Why? Because the Democrats have seen that 𝗤𝗍𝗍 has that charisma. Why? In one questioning session, she brought down 3 presidents, woke as they get. 2 of them got down. One manages to still survive. I don't know what happened to the MIT president, but Harvard and I think Columbia both had to step down. They see the power of 𝗤𝗍𝗍 Stefanik, how well she wielded the gavel on that one session, and brought down and exposed all the DEI hypocrisy. So now they have put their biggest guns, 𝗤𝗙𝗙𝗿 𝗍𝗆, against her, and I'm hearing that 𝗤𝗍𝗍 is really struggling, and I'm hoping to get 𝗤𝗍𝗍 on our channel to see how people can decide who is the right candidate for that particular congressional district. Viewers, this is war on, and PGurus wants to stay on the side of the truth, and we don't want to take any sides here. At the same time, we want to present what we think is the truthful side. 𝗤𝗍𝗍 is a very good person. Personally, I've met her. So has Sridhar C. I mean, he knows her much more than I do. And a very good, good prospect. She was supposed to be the UN ambassador for the United States, and Trump was forced to tell her, don't leave the Congress because we have a very tight vote in Congress. Stay here. And so they see the importance of 𝗤𝗍𝗍. So just stay tuned, viewers. This is getting nasty. That's all I can say. So let's take some questions now.
Sure. Thank you, G.
Mr. Lee wants to know, Progressive International published an article saying that a set of economists support Zoran Mamdani. What sort of economists support this sort of policies? Colombian economists.
Yes. Is it Colombian or it's Colombian economist? It doesn't matter. So, look, I think you need to recognize, folks, that there are social left economists who believe, I know our friends in PGurus audience don't like debt, but these economists believe debt doesn't matter because a nation doesn't need to repay debt. All it needs is revenues to fund the interest costs. If it cannot fund the interest costs, it will roll that pot which it has not paid as debt itself. So this is a school. Second, they believe that everybody should, the only way you can uplift the society is by doing free distribution. Remember, free distribution, free prepaid cards being distributed to illegals under the Biden. So there are economists who believe in that model. So therefore, and they coexist with free market economists.
Sir, I have done an objective comparison of socialism versus capitalism. This video will be released in the next couple of days. Viewers, do watch it. I said, I'll present you both sides, and you decide which benefits a society more. That's up to you to decide. And all these things that we are putting at PGurus is all informative, so that you can make an informed decision wherever you are in the world. So next question, I can't read the names, viewers, because your IDs are appearing, not your real names. And this is a StreamYard problem. Sometimes the real name comes, sometimes these IDs come. So I'm just going to skip the name, just going to ask the question. Sridhar sir, can Mamdani contest for presidential election? I think he was not born in the US.
No, he was not born in the United States. No, he cannot contest. He has to be born here. And he came here when he was 5 years old. Okay, so he cannot. But this is current view. But we can change the constitution. Okay?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, he's only very young. Yeah.
See, one thing I feel for Vivek Ramaswamy was he was so successful along with Charlie Kirk in going through campuses and taking on some of the questions. Viewers, you have to see some of those videos. Such questions being asked in students from Ivy League universities. I was shocked at the shallowness and asking some stupid questions of people who are very intellectual in nature. Unfortunately, now Charlie Kirk is gone. Vivek has to plow a lone furrow. He was associated with Elon Musk in DOG. He's disassociated himself from that also. I mean, he's a good intellectual, and this is the kind of person, political leadership that America needs. Look at all the other people around you. What kind of mental acuity they are bringing to the table as a president of the most powerful country in the world. Next question, please. Can Trump change the constitution for third term? I don't think this is going to happen. It's not so easy. And in fact, people are saying 2026 is going to be tough for Republicans to get a majority again in the House, sir.
Well, I think a lot of things have to flow, Sree. So we just need to wait till what happens. See, one of the things that we have not, there's a lot of things happening in domestic politics. We are only covering tariffs and wars and discontent and hatred. But there's a lot of things that he's doing on the domestic side, as well as on the economic front, that is helping the local Americans, okay, who have the ability to exercise the franchise. So therefore, he will go by what has happened to his domestic policies, not what has happened to his foreign policies come 2028 elections, Sriji.
I hope your prophecy comes out true, sir. I agree with you. He has cleaned up a lot of the domestic stuff, because this is the last gasp of the deep state to try and tell Trump that we can come to your city and we can stall it. This no kings. Who is no kings? Go back and look at the history.
Yeah.
And they are basically trying to match Trump as the last king who tried to stop the American the first group of 13 colonies from forming. Go back and look at the history. You'll understand that. The next question, sir. Tea party is over. Coffee party has started. Any chance of government shutdown ending after the New York City mayor election? November 1st is a critical day, because food stamps, many programs that genuinely help the poorest in the country are going to stop. The funding is going to stop. Big deal. Just see what happens. Pitchforks will start coming out against Democrats. Sir, over to you.
Well, if Mamdani gets elected as the New York City mayor, is the government shutdown going to end? No, they're going to be far more aggressive in terms of campaigning for what they are campaigning for. And Mamdani is launching, we'll cover again. Mamdani's campaign is, government-controlled stores, rental freezers, free rent, taxing the rich, and then, etc., etc. So therefore, it's got some outrageous policies which cannot be economically supported. So therefore, Trump is going to tighten his screws. And the question then is, will the state bypass the federal and do its own? And that could be that could see the change. And if it happens, then we have very interesting set of different problems looming in the United States. So no, right now, the way shutdown looks, the Democrats have hunkered down and they are unprepared to concede.
Who cares about the common man, right? They have to make a point. They want to say, look, I brought this government to a standstill. That seems to be, what's his name? Chuck Schumer's gone, another Jewish American. Sir, please, what is going on with the Jewish Americans of the country?
They have contributed so much to the, anyway. Question.
MAGAs do in ground level against non-white people. Many of my second generation American-born relatives are reluctant to vote MAGA and still vote the Democrats like Zoran. Sir.
Well, I think, see, there are, we have covered this. There are Republicans who will not change. There are Democrats who will not change. Then there are middle who are indecisive. There's a segment of Republicans who will switch party. There's a segment of Democrats who will switch party. The segment of Democrats who switched party is what decided Trump's election. Right?
Yes.
It's very narrow. That margin is very narrow. So therefore, if a vast number of these gentlemen's relatives, fall in that group, which feels more egregious as a result of MAGA, then they will do the reverse shift and they'll boot Trump out of power. That's what will happen. Okay. And how much their suffering is will translate into votes. That's what happened. Black Americans and Latinos who traditionally don't shift, they shifted their religions and voted because they wanted peace in their neighborhood. They wanted law and order in the neighborhood. They wanted illegals to be driven away so they can get their jobs.
Yes, that's the most important point. The livelihood was being affected. You're right.
Exactly. So I think that is what is, racism and other kinds of issues, how it cascades its way into the person's daily living.
Next one, please. Thank you so much, News Hunter, for your super sticker. Last question. Milban wants to know, so the Republicans who vote Cuomo will be obviously RINOs, Republicans in name only?
No. No. I think Andrew Cuomo is being supported even by, surprise, even President Trump. He says, please vote for Cuomo. Please vote for Cuomo. Okay, he's a good man. Look, I think, you can't just win an election, especially in New York City. You got to have a very well-articulated strategy. But more and more stuff is going to come out, which reflects truth to its normalcy. And many of these groups and organizations that we had listed before even this show and talked about, they are all the undercurrents, and now that's coming to surface, Sriji. Coming to surface.
Sir, on a funny note, 𝗟𝗡𝗙𝗏 सास भी कभी बहू थी is very popular these days because Bill Gates made an appearance on one of the episodes. So I have to also end saying that 𝗟𝗡𝗙 Trump was also a Democrat once. So there is no surprise that he likes Cuomo. I mean, he was a successful businessman, which means you have to straddle on both sides of the aisle. You have to have friends on both sides. So just remember this. Trump was a Democrat once. Thank you so much, Sridhar Ji. We'll be seeing you again on Sunday. And fast-moving development viewers, do come back and watch us. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Sridhar Ji, thank you so much. You did a lot of research in the last 12 hours. This Fox Digital story is, we just took out the salient points from that, and they've done an incredible amount of work. We're going to give you the link in our description section. We'll get it up and give it for you to take a look at that, read that article. And this is where, America decides its future. Because what happens in New York is going to happen to the rest of the country sooner or later. Thank you once again, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar, Ji. Another important event on Thursday, China-US dialogue. Okay.
Yes.
Resolution of, right now, everybody is saying that they're going to resolve, which means they're going to defer the restrictions that they have imposed on the rare earths. Let us see.
Sir, I have a good friend that I follow on YouTube. His name is Martin Armstrong. You may have heard of him. He has a software called Socrates that does software prediction. And the Trump administration asked him, because he's a Russia expert, asked him to come in and suggest ways out of the Russian-Ukrainian war impasse. And he wrote a 200-page document, Martin Armstrong, economics.com. Take a look at that, viewers, if you get a chance. And say one of the things, he has a very revolutionary idea. What he's saying is just build an underground bridge between Alaska and Russia. And there is a reason why it's an underground milk. It's not very long. It's 30, 40 kilometers or something like that at its shallowest and at the closest points. And basically what he thinks is that America needs rare earths. Russia has them. Nixon and Kissinger broke the Russia-China partnership. It's time to do the same thing. They aligned with China at that time. Now he's saying America should align with Russia in order to contain China. So let's wait and see how this thing plays out. Very interesting approach to the whole problem. Yeah.
It's a great idea. So there is Ukraine is all about that.
Yes.
Ukraine is all about that. Is rare earths, inert gas.
Absolutely.
They control 90%, I think, if my memory serves me right, 90% of the inert gases that are consumed by the world. So both rare earths and inert gases Ukraine has, and the battle is on for that, Sree. Thank you, Sree. Namaskar, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. And I have a series of articles, monologues that are going to come out. I discussed about why an average German is poorer than an average Italian. I'm going to discuss about strip mining. What exactly is strip mining? How this has impacted the economies of United Kingdom, France, Germany, and the big enchilada, United States. See, these are where the financial problems are going to start. They started already there. It's when they take that Vishwarupa and come out. So please do watch them. It may look a little dull and dour, but you need to understand, because I'm trying to be the person trying to educate you. Look, we can't just keep thinking that our mutual funds are going to keep on growing. Not true. I've also talked about carry forward trading and how money from that has gone into the big Max 7. Because I'm trying to find out how the hell can these guys keep on going up and up and up and up like there is no tomorrow. So also, capital controls are coming to Europe. First shot across the bow, Spain. Only $3,000 can be withdrawn at a time. And if you are a wealthy Spanish entrepreneur, if you want to invest outside of Spain, maximum limit is only $100,000. Sir, what is $100,000 by way of investment by today, sir? I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Sree, there's a lot of rumors and a lot of BS floating around, Sree. Hear any of this stuff in the banking system. Okay, in terms of you have some indication of a tremor. Okay, and you have an indication of the cash kind of cash drying up. Okay, but there is a lot of this battle is between three categories of mongers. One, who are the social economists who refuse to bend the thing. Then there is this whole new crypto warriors who believe that the government must be brought down and a new kind of center should be built. That is the second category of people. Then you have third category of people who are the market believers, and they continue to move the agenda forward. So you have these guys pushing their barrel, and you hear lots of stuff in the market. So that is the story. Very good, G. That's the story.
The last thing, 14,000 jobs being cut at Amazon. I'm sorry if you're working at Amazon, because they are trying to move towards AI. And that means that perhaps a drone will deliver your next set of products at your doorstep. Who knows? But anyway, so these are all things that you can't stop from happening. I'm sorry to be the harbinger of bad news. Thank you once again, Sridhar Ji. We'll see you again on Sunday. Namaskar.
Namaskar, and have a good day, Sri Ji. No, the music is not rolling.
Yeah, I'm wondering what happened. Anyway, I'm just going to stop the thing now. Thank you, sir.